So a few years ago, if somebody had told me that I would be driving a brand new Cadillac, I just sort of laughed at them. I've had Cadillacs before. I had a 61, and I really liked that car. I had a 96, biggest piece of crap I've ever owned. Didn't own it for very long because, I don't know, the dashboard used to go out. And I've always joked, I'm probably going to get into a Cadillac when I can't get in and out of the exotic cars anymore. Well, I'm a little more challenged than I used to be, but the time was right for a Cadillac because this is the new Lyric, and the Lyric is all electric, and we graduated from a Volt to this. But there's another Cadillac I'd like to talk to you about, and that is the 2013 Cadillac CTS-V, done by Hennessey.
1,200 plus horsepower when you put avgas in it.
And one of the prettiest designs, well, aside from this, that Cadillac has ever come up with.
The car is now driving itself.
Oh, now I can relax.
Yeah, it makes me nervous. I usually do this. It's actually a more responsible driver than I am, I think. We were using it the other day. All of a sudden it jammed on the brakes, and what it jammed on the brakes for was a monarch butterfly, and I would have done the same thing. And I had already, because I brake for butterflies.
So today I'm visiting Paul Sadlon Motors in Barrie, Ontario, and the reason for that is they've got a Hennessey Cadillac, and I'm really interested in this car. Fortunately, I've got a friend who works here, Matt Stone, and we're going to go out in it. Matt?
Hi, Dave.
Hey.
How are you?
Not too bad. I see you. Typical day.
It's busy, yes.
So I saw that you had the Hennessey outside because it's been living in the showroom for a while, eh?
It has. It spends most of its time in the showroom here, but we've got it ready, and I think it's only got maybe 3,400 kilometers on it.
Oh, so it's a new car,
It's
basically.
almost a brand new car. Yeah, it's a brand new 2013.
I've always find this showroom, like, it's really annoying because it's full of cars that I'm actually interested in driving and owning and stuff like that, and especially the new Corvettes.
Yes.
When I was a guest at Bowling Green at the factory and the museum and on the track with these things, I absolutely fell in love with them. I liked the design. And I've been talking to you about buying an E-Ray. What do they call them, a Zora?
Yeah, yes.
So I'll no doubt be picking one of those up. So.
Okay.
And I've become a Cadillac guy.
I like that. Yes, an electric Cadillac guy.
Yeah,
even at that.
I've had 3 Cadillacs. I had a 61, which I loved. I had a 96, which was the biggest pile of poo I've ever driven.
Okay.
And I've got this brand new Lyric, which is one of the most magnificent pieces of technology I've ever been in. So I'm sort of interested in, I know that the E-Ray is not an electric car. It's just being helped out. But I'm looking forward to that because I'm sort of getting into this high-tech stuff.
Yes.
I don't want to work on it.
No.
I just want to enjoy it.
Yeah, they've used the electric motor just to gain more speed.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
The fastest Corvette ever.
Is it faster than the Hennessey Cadillac?
That's a good question. It probably is, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, with the all-wheel drive, I would think 0 to 60,
Well-
it definitely is. Maybe on a racetrack, they might be fairly close.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've got 12 years newer technology too in the new Corvette.
Well, that's true, but you've also got over 1,000 horsepower with this.
That's right, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
if you put the avgas in it, we're 1,250 horsepower in that Hennessey. So I would think with the right driver, with 1,250 horsepower,
Yeah.
right, on a racetrack, I would hope that.
Yeah, and it's a pretty
Fantastic, yeah.
well-balanced car. I mean, they were charging in Nürburgring in those days.
Yes, yeah, when the V first
So,
came out, and
yeah.
it is still, even a stock one is still going for pretty close to what they were brand new back in 2013.
Yeah.
It's
Not often an American car is a good investment, but I think those are.
they were, yes,
and,
for sure.
And I think Corvettes, the Special Series Corvettes have been good too.
For sure, yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, let's go and introduce me to her.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. I've always loved the CTS, but this one is on steroids.
Yes, yes, that's a good word for it,
Yeah.
yes.
Hennessey really went out of their way to have changed almost everything. Like, what have they changed on this? You know, because I'm not that familiar with them.
Well, so suspension's been changed and stiffened, wheels and tires. A lot of carbon fiber work on this one. So it's got the front splitter. You can see it is tubbed at the back to make it wider, and it's hand-laid carbon fiber on the back. The car was one of two originally. One of them was crashed on a racetrack, so it became one of one.
Paul Sadlon bought this directly from
Bought
Hennessey.
it brand new from Hennessey, yeah, and it's only got, I think, 3,500 kilometers on it, so it's almost a new car. I mean, the biggest thing Hennessey does is obviously the motor with the twin turbo, so this will run 1,250 horsepower on avgas. I mean, in 2013, even today, that's an astronomical number.
It is, yeah.
On regular 91 and up octane fuel, it'll run at 850 horsepower.
Now, when you are switching between, do you just fill it with avgas, or is there a preparation? So you don't have to
run it as low as you can and fill it with the avgas. There's a little computer inside of it, and it has three choices. One being if you were on below 91 octane, second choice being 91 octane and above, and then the third being the avgas, which I believe is 121 or 122.
Yeah.
Right. So it's got a little computer. So I mean, it was quite a car. I mean, it's quite a car today, let alone back 10 years ago.
Well, I mean, there are very few car designs that stand the test of time. I mean, quite often you go, oh, that car is magnificent, and 5 years later it's sour.
Yes.
Right? I think that these cars maintain that sort of appeal. You know, and there's not many. The Dodge Stealth, which was a Mitsubishi, I understand, but a redesigned one, that's another one of those cars that you say them today, they still look great. In another 20 years, this is still going to be a dramatic car.
Yes, and I think when they introduced it, this was the original V from Cadillac. So, I mean, this was one of the original cars that started that V racing series, got Cadillac to the Nürburgring, and it was one of the iconic styles. To this day, even just a stock two-door CTS, not even a V, still will be worth more money than the customer paid for it, which, I mean, that you can't always say about cars, especially American cars, right?
Yeah.
Big Brembo brakes with cross-drilled rotors, part of the package, carbon fiber door sills. And yes, so inside, they do the Hennessey treatment as well. So special seats with suede inserts, special bolsters. It's got the Hennessey badging on it. And I mean, the really cool thing about this is it has 3 pedals. It is a manual transmission car.
Yeah, and that makes it even more desirable these days.
Yes.
I mean, you know, Janice has got a Lotus, and it's worth almost what she paid for it because it's a stick shift.
That's right,
and, you know, 6-speed stick shift, and people just want that. You can't get any more with the flappy things on the, you know, I mean, I still, you know, I have several cars that have
paddle shifters, yes.
Yeah, whatever they call the stupid things. And you know, you use it and then you just stop using it. You just leave it in the automatic mode because they're just stupid.
Well, and it's neat because of all the cars we have now with General Motors, the Camaro just finished its last year. It was available in a manual. Our new Corvettes are only in paddle shift. It's really only the Cadillac is the last of the GM. We don't have a manual in any of our trucks. The only manual transmission you can get from General Motors is in a Cadillac CT5 Blackwing now.
Blackwing, yeah.
So
Which you're a Blackwing guy.
Yes, I actually drive one, and it's an amazing, amazing car.
Yeah.
And
too many doors.
Well, I have 2 small children, so the doors come in handy. But yes.
Well, you should always have room for the children in the high-performance car.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Well, without children, it might be a Corvette, but I love, like you, I love a manual transmission.
If I had children, I'd have the Corvette. I'd just squash them in behind the seats.
Yes, yes. When I was younger, that was something we did. I think nowadays you might get in trouble for that.
Yeah. I used to be put on the parcel shelf in the back of the car. That's where you stayed, on the parcel shelf.
Yeah. And it's a Hennessey complete exhaust kit on it as well. So, I mean, back then, Hennessey kind of changed the whole car. I mean, now they're able to take some of these newer vehicles and they don't have to change as much as they did back then. But I mean, to make sure it's going to be safe too with that kind of horsepower.
People go on about Hennessey being a tuner and everything, but really, it's not as much that. Hennessey was a coach builder. Just like, you know, in the 1920s and 30s, you would buy a chassis off of a company and then you would send it to the coach builder and they would build the body and you'd choose the engine and the driveline and all that. That's all they're doing now. We just have a different name for it.
That's right. Yeah.
So what are you asking for now?
We're trying to get 200,000 US. We have not closed any deals on it, so it's just become available. I know you've always been interested in it, so I thought it was a good chance for us to take it for a ride.
That I would like to do.
Yes.
Well, let's do that.
Okay, let's do that.
All right. This is a standard. So do you do the clutch first?
I'm trusting you know how to drive this car, Dave.
Has a good sound to it. It's warm out, so let's get the windows down. Plus, you know, you want people to see you.
Well, and we still have all the toys. Heated and cooled seats,
Yeah.
automatic climate control, air conditioning. So the nav screen, you can push a button and pop it up and it'll show everything on here. You can show your navigation. There's even cup holders.
Yeah, because you need a cup holder in your Hyper. You know, this is one of the biggest aggros, although my Alfa Romeo 4C has cup holders you can't get to, you know.
Right.
Ferraris, there's no cup holders, you know, like, it just, because you don't drink coffee if you have a Ferrari. And of course, Ferrari says, well, you should be driving the car, not drinking coffee. Well,
You should be having an espresso before you drive, yes.
Going to adjust the mirrors here because they're looking down the side of the car.
Yep.
And that's, I know what the car looks like. I want to know what the oncoming traffic looks like. Okay, so there's 6 of these things here.
Yep.
All right.
Reverse
And I guess
is
we
the
start
start.
off in the 1. I got it moving. See that?
I like that, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't install yet.
Yeah. It's actually more docile than a lot of cars.
Yeah, it could be an everyday driver too.
Actually, you know, I mean, I've only driven it 400 feet, right? But it's not what I thought. I thought we'd be like doing this to start off with. And I mean, I haven't, I could easily stall going across this intersection. It wouldn't be the first time in my life.
Well, every clutch is a little different.
Yeah.
Got programmable garage door openers in here,
Well, that's important.
right? It still has all of the accoutrements that it had. I mean, it was way above its time back in the day.
Yeah. Just give her a little bit of time to warm up. And because it has air conditioning, which is something that's always staggered me. High performance cars with air conditioning is wrong, right? I can remember having a Pontiac Grand Prix that had air conditioning. This is like 1970.
Okay.
And when you turned, it was a really fast car for its day. And it had the Interceptor package on it, which was an American thing. And I can remember you turn on the air conditioning, the car slowed down.
Right.
So it's got a good smooth feel to it.
And a good sound, right? It's not
It's
crazy
got a great
loud,
sound.
but
It's a little bit lumpy when you're sitting at the light, which is very un-Cadillac-like. But
Yes.
it's actually quite tame right now, which is something that I like. I mean, I've had Vipers, and Vipers were just, you know, the early series Vipers,
the
they were
left here.
never tamed.
Yeah.
They were always dangerous. They killed lots of guys who could afford them
Yes.
but couldn't drive them.
They were good in a straight line, and that was it.
Yeah,
yes.
well, you could corner them. You just had to be a
And
driver.
know what you were doing, yes.
Yeah, you'd have to know what you're doing. You had to know the physics of that car, which were fairly poor as far as cornering was, and you just had to load the car up the right way. And guys who didn't know, or guys who just sat there and then just matted it and wondered why they went into a tight spin and hit the local telephone pole, you know? And,
The days before Stabilitrack, right?
that's right,
Yeah, and the other thing with the Viper, those side pipes tended to make it a lot noisier in the cabin.
Well, you know, and that was one of the reasons. I had a GTS. It was also a modified magazine project car, so it had an extra 200 horse because you need that,
Yes.
right? And, you know, like, I took it on one long journey, and I swore I would never do that again because I was so exhausted by the continuous drone of that. And it had the crossover pipe, because I hated the sound of just the 5-cylinder on each side. When you put a crossover pipe on, which they did the later generation,
That's right.
you ended up with a really good sound out of it. For what they were and when they built it, they were, you know, I talked to Bob Lutz because I knew Bob, and, you know, they hit all their marks on that car. I mean, they did something no other manufacturer in the United States had done, and they went over and kicked Ferrari's ass, which was their main intent.
Yes.
And it's funny because for every time Ferrari gets too big for their britches, an American company like Ford comes along and kicks their butt, which, you know, Ford did with the GT40. And Dodge did with the Viper, and General Motors did with this.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, this was a big car in its day, and now we're doing it again with the new Corvettes and the new Z06 and the...
And which is, I mean, let's face it, in this period, people are going, oh yeah, the Cadillac's a Corvette underneath. No, the Corvette was a Cadillac.
That's right.
Because Cadillac had all the engineering money for racing and everything, and you know, the Corvette division just took all that stuff and put it under fiberglass. So this is a nice handling car. I mean,
it's smooth too, right?
It's smooth. It's you know, it is Cadillac-ish, but I can feel that underbeat of there's more to the car than we're expecting of it right now. So I would actually like to track this car. That would be fun.
Me too. Yeah. Yes, I would love to do that.
So I'm not going to really boot it. I mean, there's people around, and it's not my car. You know, I tend to drive quite conservatively when I'm with other people or when I'm not in my own car. And when I'm by myself in my own car, I'm still a squirrel. You know, like,
well, the police take the fun out of a lot of these cars, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, they get real snarky these days.
Yes, yes.
You know what? At 40 over now. It's
right,
40.
If it's in an 80 or
so,
less.
I mean,
yes,
and you know what?
True.
Sometimes that isn't much. Mind you, they could nail everybody on one of the major highways.
Totally.
Yeah.
So
then I have to find
pop the clutch.
Then yeah, we'll do that right with all of this stuff around. Just dump it. Like one of those kids standing beside the road. I love the kids who go, oh, do this.
Yes, yeah. Rev it. That's my whole neighborhood.
Yeah, sure, kid. You buy the new tires.
There it goes. The fun one was the Hummer pickup truck. I've been taking kids in my neighborhood for rides in that truck.
Oh, yeah?
That's incredible.
Why haven't you taken me?
I can take you later today. Yeah, we have one there at 0 to 60 in 3 seconds in a 9,500 pound behemoth truck. It's quite something.
Oh, I like that when that kicks in, all that sort of huffy chuffy stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what? This car is deceptive because it doesn't feel like it's doing anything, and then you look down at the speedometer, it actually is. Now that can be very dangerous, and I mean, I find that danger actually with the Lyric.
Yes.
You know, because it doesn't make any noise.
There's no shift point.
And there's no shift point.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you look down and go, holy shit, you know, because you don't feel it. Yeah, this makes some nice sounds. So the engine itself, what have they done to the engine in this car?
Well, I know it's twin turbo. Hennessey's famous for the twin turbo, and I believe the cylinders are changed. Compression's obviously way different.
Like a nice spot there.
That looks good, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, where in the hell's the... Where's the brake?
Right here, it's electric.
Oh, I hate that. I like it.
Did it go?
Parking brake set. You know, $200,000 US sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but you know what? I mean, you buy a car like this, you haven't wasted the money. When you go to sell it, you're actually going to make money. And you can't say that about a lot of cars. I mean, you buy a new car, you drive across the curb, boom, there goes 20% of the value of the car. With these, you buy this car, you drive it across, there's no depreciation. All it does is appreciate. So, you know, you own it for 5 or 6 years or until, you know, you get your divorce, you need to sell it, and then you sell it and you can give your ex even more money than she originally thought she was getting.
Excellent, yes.
So one of my favorite parts of this car and any of these was the back end, you know, and this was such a masterful piece of design. And honestly, when I first saw these cars, I went, that's superb. what the hell are they going to do next? Because sometimes you just can't improve on something. You can't keep it forever.
Yes, it's iconic.
But you can't improve on it.
Yep.
And this was one of those things because, yeah, they brought out the next generation cars of, in design, but they had to water it down because where else do you go when you've made something this spectacular?
It's true.
There's no, either you put too much crap on it, like a Japanese car, right? Or you just change it completely.
If you've got a car with 1,250 horsepower and you're going to take it on the track or even on the road, you need to be able to stop the 1,250 horsepower. One of the big things Hennessey does now and did back then was put an amazing braking system on here. We've got these cross-drilled rotors with giant Brembo brakes and on HRE performance wheels with Michelin Super Sport tires. So this car will stop and will slow down the way it should to stop the 1,250 horsepower.
So the one thing we haven't done is you haven't shown me what's under the hood. So let's take a
do
look.
that.
Yep. I probably won't understand it.
So there it is, Hennessey's famous LSXR twin turbo, 1,250 horsepower. It's a 427 cubic inch block. It's an amazing piece of engineering, stamped here with chassis number 2. So again, it was number 2. First one was crashed, just a gorgeous piece of engineering and definitely a talking piece wherever you go with it as well.
Well, I don't understand a lot of the stuff.
Well, I don't 100% either.
But I do know one thing.
Yes?
It's not as sexy as a Ford Flathead V8.
Okay, I will give you that, but I think in a straight line it would beat that Ford Flathead V8.
It
Yes,
could, yeah.
yes.
Yeah, it could. It probably in neutral.
Yes. What was the first car with these sharp angles?
Yeah.
And I mean the original prototypes
Now,
of
to
them.
be fair, Van den Pla did it in 1936.
The first Cadillac with the sharp angles. The prototypes were amazing, and I think when we saw the actual car, it was one of those cars where the car did not disappoint from the prototype, where sometimes you'll see a prototype of a car and say, that's amazing, and then the production car comes and it's not as good or it's watered down.
I fell in love with the prototype, and I was completely smitten when the production car came out because it varied so little from the prototype.
Yes.
And now they brought, they got the Celestique in the works.
Yes.
And then they got the Soleil, which is the convertible. Have you seen that?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Gorgeous car. Yeah. And
So,
we have a Celestique coming very shortly.
You need to call me when it comes in.
Yes.
I want to, before you deliver it to whoever bought it, because they're a special order car, right?
It is, yeah. Well, the first one will be for the Sadlon. So they have, Paul Sadlon Jr. has been going back and forth. You go to the GM Design Center, you pick out all your fabrics, your leather, your colors. They mock it up, and then you go back and forth. It's quite a...
That's why he's selling this. He can't afford it.